Hello and welcome back to this course of videos on Node.js and Express. Now if you remember in previous videos we used this text box and button to submit an Ajax request to our Node server, which submitted our username and then returned some data for us to dynamically update our page. However, if we take a look at the code, this is the code here. I've commented it out now. If you noticed, we did an app.post to respond to this root request, post request, and we just mimicked a database request. So we basically just built up this JavaScript object with username details and then sent it back on the response object to dynamically populate the page. Now, we instead of mimicking a database request, we want to actually do a real database request. So in order to do that, we're going to need a database, obviously, and our choice is MongoDB. Now, MongoDB is a NoSQL database. I'm not going to go into great detail in this course of videos because I do have a separate playlist that goes into MongoDB, but we will just be looking at a high level about how it works and how it interacts with Node. Now, so first thing that you need to do is go and install MongoDB. It's freely downloadable from the web. I'm going to open up my command prompt here. I've already installed Mongo, and the way to get it running once it's installed is just with the MongoD command. You see, if I run this, this will get my Mongo database running, and then I'm going to open up a separate command prompt and I'm going to write Mongo. Now this actually gives me a CLI where I can interact with my Mongo database. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a database for our application. And I'm going to call it users because we're going to store our username and let users register for the chat app with their username, first name, etc. And then we're going to submit that as an Ajax request and populate this database. So first of all, I have to create the database, and you use the use command for that. And I'm going to call my database chat app. So that's created my chat app database. I now want to create a collection for my users where I'm going to submit my user data. So for this, I'm going to say db.create collection, and I'm going to call my collection users here. So that's created my collection. Now if I wanted to, I could just say db.users.insert, and I could just insert anything in some JavaScript object, like I could put just name and a string of James, and you see that would actually create a record, and then we can say db.users.find to actually look at the record that was submitted. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to remove that document from my collection by saying db.users.remove, if I can spell correctly, .remove pass an empty object because I want to remove all documents, and there, that's removed. So now we have our empty users collection within our chat app database, and we're ready to insert documents. But before we do that, we need to download something from npm, which is the Mongo client. So I'm going to do npm install MongoDB with -- save to save it in the package.json file. Now a client is really a translator which is going to allow your Node code to talk to your Mongo database. That's pretty much what it is. So I'm going to run this, and that is going to install my MongoDB client into my Node app. Let's quickly scooch over, and we can see that on the package.json file we now have our MongoDB as our dependency. And if I quickly run over and look in my Node modules file, we'll see that we have our MongoDB module loaded. So now that we have that installed, we can then look at incorporating Mongo into our node code, and we'll be doing that in the next lesson. I look forward to seeing you then.